When we send an email with several attachments, the main message has little meaning by itself. In a very similar way, we develop attachments in life, without which our life has no character of its own. Our life revolves around these attachments. The longer we live, the more attached we get to places, things, and people. We get attached to the house in which we live, the place where we work, the things we often use, the people we love. This is a natural process and there is nothing wrong with it as such. Problems arise, however, when we live too long. A time comes when we may be forced to move from a spacious house into a smaller dwelling. It may happen that the things we used regularly are no longer available. People who are important to us may decide to go away to worlds of their own. As a result, older people often find themselves living in a place they don't relate to, preserving things that have no further relevance and longing for the love they can get no more. The feeling of attachment is not confined just to places, things, and people. We may even get attached to ourselves. Over time, we may develop certain habits, likes and dislikes, have our own way of thinking. They all become part of us. The longer we live, the more difficult it becomes to give up our old self. However, as time goes by, the world changes and we are required to fit in. A time comes when we cease to be the boss in the office, or the head of the family, or the soul of the party. We get shifted from the limelight to the wings, and then from the stage to the gallery. Before we realize it, others have taken our place. Once you get introduced as so and so's father or so and so's mother, you must know that you have lost your own identity. You no longer enjoy the status you had. Once you move into a retirement home, you can no longer preside over the affairs of your household. Once you sell your old, overused vehicle, you have lost your mobility. The problem is that the older we grow, the more difficult it becomes to accept the change as we still remain attached to our old ego. Being unattached usually means you're having loose links with places, things, or people. So loose that if these links break, that would cause you little or no pain. This requires that places, things, and people should not be the reason for your happiness nor the definition of your identity. Aging well requires that you remain flexible in your external relationships and at the same time not allow yourself to develop rigid practices and habits. You should remember that there is nothing permanent in life and that not all things will happen as per your own expectations, even if you plan them meticulously. Then, in the event of a change in your situation or circumstances, it will be easier for you to adapt and adjust with it. Our bodies are as temporary as a piece of disposable clothing, says the Bhagavad Gita. Do not store up for yourself treasures on earth, but in heaven, where moth does not destroy them, and where thieves do not break in and steal, advises the Bible. That is why people have to insure their bodies against disease and accident, and their property against fire, robbery, floods, and earthquakes. Human relationships, however, cannot be insured. They take years of effort to build, but may crumble over a small misunderstanding or because they never really had a strong foundation. There are emotional attachments to physical things as well, like to the small house in which you lived after your wedding, or to a place where your children were born and grew up, to the clothes you wore at your graduation, or the books you got as gifts while in school, to old photo albums and old letters. They are valuable for you, but not necessarily for others. Aging well involves developing a certain amount of minimalism, reducing the number of possessions, focusing on essentials, and avoiding unnecessary accumulation. With an intentional downsizing, one can retain only what is meaningful or useful and discard the rest. A clutter free environment helps in clutter free thinking. Being unattached adds clarity and freedom to the latter years of one's life.